Alex didn't come yet?
No, I don't think so.
What's it this time, Rogan? You joining the Foreign Legion?
Yes, sir, folks. Step right up. Meet boy adventurer Alex Rogan on the last leg of his worldwide tour to nowhere.
Funny, Blake. You guys think I'm gonna hang out here, watch you shine your pickup, go to the drive-in, get drunk and throw up every Saturday night? Go to City College like everybody else. Forget it, man. I'm doing something with my life.
It's this communication turret that sends out the commands to the deck fighters, which enables them to act as one during the fight.
Wait a second. We knock out the turret to get the fighters. But to get the turret, we gotta get through the fighters. We're dead.
I'll have it all figured out by the time we reach the frontier.
What's that?
The frontier.
We're locked into the moon's gravitational pull. What do we do? We die.
Oh, Neil just jumps in. Real quick to All right, so experience with The Last Starfighter. Where do you guys stand with it? Have you seen it before, or where are you at?
Yeah, I've seen it. As a child. I think it was maybe I was 13 the last time I seen this movie, so it was really nice coming back to it. A lot of stuff I didn't quite remember, but yeah, childhood.
There you go.
This film, for some reason, reminds me of Saturday afternoons going over to visit my cousins, and they, we used to do it a week about where they would come over and visit myself, or I would go over and visit them. Obviously, we were all kids, small kids, about 7, 8, 9 years old, in the 1980s, and we used to watch these types of films, and this was one of them. I couldn't really remember much about it until I rewatched it for this podcast, but yeah, it's very entertaining and good fun, and there is definitely a nostalgia sort of feeling there for myself on a personal level. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, you and I probably in the same boat. I saw this movie religiously in the theater in 1984.
Yeah.
I was a wee lad.
Aww.
Yep.
As you guys say, a little child. Well, I was teenager, actually. No, I was 13 or 12.
It's mid-30s, people.
Shut up. But just to piggyback when you said nostalgia, I had the action figures, and cool. I had everything that was marketed around this film. I had a piece of it, but I haven't revisited this thing in probably about 25, 30 years. Wow. So it's nice to get this one off the shelf, blow off the dust, and see if it still holds up. But if it still is, you got to kind of doing this podcast now. You got to take away the kitty goggles.
Yeah, we'll have to be more critical.
Yes. Well, that sounds kind of perverted. Kitty goggles. The nostalgia goggles, and reflect on how it stands today.
Yeah, as a film. Yeah.
Surprisingly, this one's going to be a good topic, I think, especially with you, Nuala.
Yeah.
I think I'm going with this one. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of This Film Has Not Yet Been Rated.
Hey.
Today we are talking, yes, The Last Starfighter. Joining me are the regular band of misfits, and it's Trevor.
Hello. Good to be here again.
There you are, and Nuala.
What about you?
And of course I'm Kieran, the lovely, charming host.
The hostess with the mostess.
Oh yes.
Okay, what hostess? What the hell?
Seen them games.
Who saw those pictures? And again, as usual, I think a lot of people might have forgot about this film, like ourselves. So I can't emphasize the importance of we do dissect the film, and so this will be spoiler filled. So please give it a watch before you give it a listen. Huh? That's pretty good. And we will have harsh language because I'm fucking rude and ingrained.
And why the fuck not?
And we're adults now, even though we used harsh language as kids as well.
Exactly.
We can get away with it now, so we don't give a fuck.
Oh, wow. I think that's the first time Trevor swore.
I'm sure I've sworn.
Trevor's got his big pants on today.
Yeah. No one's gonna mess with me today. No, sorry, no one's gonna fuck with me today.
Wow, there you go.
I like it.
So we open up. I'll start off with the score. Very Superman kind of score, you know.
Very 80s.
It's yes, and the gentleman's name is Craig Seffin. I was a big fan of his stuff because he did the score for a movie called Remo Williams, which I was a big fan for. But he's done a couple of films. He was pretty much peaked in the 80s.
Yeah.
But he's done a lot of this action and sci-fi kind of films. And I've always liked his style. A fun note with his music is that he's the guy who did the Cheers theme.
Oh,
Right,
serious?
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, he does the Cheers score.
And that is a
Cheers
very
films.
iconic
Oh, yeah.
theme.
I'm singing it in
Yeah.
my head right now.
One of the great
wanna-
television
I wanna-
theme songs.
I want a beer.
Yeah. Right.
Where everybody knows your name.
Oh, heck yeah. What about you, Trevor? Kieran, nice to see you again, mate.
Yeah.
So, so we got this big score, and we go through the universe, and we're quickly panned down into the small trailer park in the middle of nowhere. I want to say it's probably New Mexico area, but it doesn't matter. It's called Starlight Starbright. It is a trailer park. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you're introduced to all these different varieties of characters. This has nothing to do with Steve Spielberg, but this had a massive Spielberg feel.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they changed this. It was meant to be set in a suburb, and they changed it to the whole caravan site type thing, or camper trailer site.
Trailer park.
Trailer park. Thank you. I'm not I don't have the hip language, but they changed it to that because it was it would be too reminiscent of a Spielberg type setup, you know.
Yeah, that's it was a good shout out. But I think the trailer park works because the trailer park emphasizes what our lead wants to do, which is move out.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, there's a strong Star Trek connection to the trailer park as well, with some of the people who live there. Will Wheaton, who played Wesley Crusher on The Next Generation, he is one of the extras in it.
That's right.
He's one of the wee boys in it, but also the grandmother character. She was in the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, from the 1960s, playing one of the Talosian aliens. Yes.
Oh wow,
there you
that's cool.
There you go.
You always wonder if that was deliberate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned in the last podcast, this is directed by Nick Castle. Nick Castle, you might not know, is the man who donned the coveralls or overalls as Michael Myers in the original Halloween.
I love to imagine him standing behind the camera, roll, dressed up in his Michael Myers garb.
You don't want to do anything. You wouldn't say a word.
And some of the other actors actually in The Last Starfighter also featured in some of the Halloween films as well.
Yes. It's got Dan O'Harley, who we'll meet. He plays Greg.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy in Halloween 3.
Cochrane, yeah.
Yeah. You had Lance Guest, who is the lead. He was the love interest in Halloween 2.
Yeah.
So you do have, and obviously the Nick Castle.
Yeah.
See, Nick Castle did not want to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the producing, and he's part of the more of the behind the scenes of Halloween than he is the man behind the mask.
Yeah.
So this is what his calling was. He went on to do pretty good. He did The Boy Who Could Fly, which is a cult little hit after this one. He did a funny ass movie called Major Pain.
Yes.
If
you
guys
with
wanna-
the Wayans brothers, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to have a
They're
good
brilliant.
laugh, it's pretty good. But his career never really took off because he had more cults, and this is one of them. It's sad because I do think this film, even today, we'll get to it, deserves a sequel. But yeah, so we're introduced to all these different characters, and I love all the characters. They're all good fun. You know, you've got the guy who runs the cafe at the trailer park. You've got the granny. You've got, it's just this
The jocks.
mosh pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got this mosh pit of different kinds of people. And where our lead, Alex, played by Lance Guest, is pretty much the fixer-upper of the guy. So we pretty much find out that one of the tenants or whatever, his electricity is out, but is that before or after that? I screwed that up.
No, that's
No,
pretty
no,
much
he's
what
fine.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is, yes, and he is busy at the time they're looking for him, and they all know where he is. He's playing an arcade game. I don't know if you guys remember arcades.
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
oh,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
them very well. In fact, there was one that the arcade game, the Starfighter that he plays, it actually reminded me of one in the late 80s called Nemesis, which this taxi place down the road from me used to have, and it was brilliant. But anyway, I'm digressing.
Oh,
No,
that's
that's-
sweet.
Yeah.
That's what this whole film is really about when you think about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's playing this. It's just it's a game we all played when we were a kid. Not this game, but the concept.
Yeah.
We always had a game we went to. Mine was Tempest.
I quite like Kung Fu Master as well when I was a kid. It was great.
Well, you got the legendary Pac-Man, like, you know.
Oh yeah, and Space Invaders, of course.
Oh yeah, yes. What a
Yep.
game.
I'm still trying to master Pong.
and Snake
So-
on my Nokia, my old Nokia.
We also introduced his brother Lewis, who actually very, very good character. I think he's actually very good in this. He obviously idolizes his brother, and he always watches him when he plays the game. Alex is just playing the game, and he is getting ready to spend the day at the picnic with the jocks and stuff, but also, more importantly, with his girlfriend Maggie,
Yeah.
who is played by the very gorgeous Catherine Mary Stewart. Now, Catherine Mary Stewart just disappeared. She was doing some pretty good stuff. She's got 2 cult films that are huge.
Night of the Comet.
That are based Night of the
I
Comet
love it.
and The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
And she just kind of faded. She was in Weekend at Bernie's too.
Yeah, a
Remember Weekend
lot
at
of
Bernie's?
those
Yes.
80s stars who were in sort of real sort of cult classic films, not too many of them sort of made it big. A lot of them sort of faded into obscurity. But
It's a
if
shame.
you look on IMDb, a lot of them pop up in sort of guest roles on TV shows, American TV shows and stuff, right up.
But you don't recognize
the
them.
current day. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all Law
but,
and Order. They always
Yes,
turn up in
yes,
Law
I
and
was
Order.
just thinking that. They're always Law and Order type series.
Yeah, or Criminal Minds.
Yes.
Yeah.
DA number 2.
Forensic
Exactly
scientist,
So Alex leaves the game, lets his little brother to continue it, and he leaves to go meet the truck. But he quickly makes the dash to the mailbox in hopes that he get his student loan so he can leave to go to a proper college. In other words, far, far away.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yep.
Far, far
Small trailer
College
park
far, far
boy
away.
with big
Yeah.
dreams.
Well, just you mentioned the sort of far, far away thing. The Last Starfighter was one of these sort of series of films that come out on the back of Star Wars. Obviously,
Yeah.
sort of. I don't want to say cash in, but obviously, let's just say to be a bit more sort of generous, to sort of inspired by Star Wars. There was a lot of them around this sort of late 70s, sort of early to mid 80s period.
I mean, I thought about that myself, but I think this movie brings a lot more to the table than Star
Oh
Wars
yeah,
really
it
does.
stands on its own. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so he does get the letter, and he's told, can you stay and fix the local's electric? He has no choice. Again, he's being whittled away. He can't have any fun. It's actually a really good scene, and I'll dive into it after this. So he must cancel his date with Maggie. Maggie understands. So he's been working all day in the electric. He decides to go back to the game. He's playing the game, and he's kind of not really playing, I guess you can say, because he's talking to Maggie, who shows up late after the picnic. He's a little jealous.
Yeah.
I see somebody give you a ride home, and he's like, but I came back to you. He. I'm like, oh, I'm going to puke. But as he's talking, he doesn't realize that he's about to beat the record.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone local, the local chef, who I like the character a lot.
Otis, yeah.
Otis. He screams. He's going for the record. The whole little community.
Yeah.
These trailer parks show up. It was cheesy, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it
love
is.
that.
It's cheesy and unrealistic, but it's very much in keeping with the tone of the film. So yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Just that wee sense
Well,
of
what
community, man. It's so sweet. So
Yeah.
wholesome.
Yes. Well, it's a small trailer park, but they make it look like you mentioned earlier that it was supposed to be in a suburb, so it still had that feel.
Yeah.
It could be in a major city.
Yeah.
The way it was brought together, you can tell they're a small community.
I was like, I'd live there. That place looks lovely.
I know. I live there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No problem. As long as I get good Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
They're in a desert, so we did get rid of sneaks.
Well, that starship or starfighter machine was able to send signals to space, so come on now, the Wi-Fi is going to be excellent.
That's true. That's true. That's
None
true.
of your shitty EE flipping bad connection.
Absolutely not.
It's definitely not BT.
Now you're talking.
So they all gather around, and he breaks the record. And there's massive cheers and roar.
Even the
and
dogs
Megan,
and the cats are watching it.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's good. It's good fun. And Maggie and Alex talk about the future, and he decides he goes for a walk. He's walking back home actually, and the mom is coming back from work. She works double shifts at the diner, and she goes, "Just let you know, you didn't get your loan." He's really upset, and he runs away just to kind of clear his thoughts. Guys, this is important. The mailbox scene where he first gets his letter, well, he looks to see if his letter came, and then this part where he runs away.
Okay.
Okay, remember these two scenes.
Yeah. Okay.
Pivotal. I just recognized this when I saw this for the first time in years and doing my research on it, and it's just eerie, but we'll get to it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys caught it. It's one of my favorite shots of the film. It's just him standing by the Starlight Starbright
Sign.
Yeah.
and it's flickering. It's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Did you see the falling star?
I didn't actually, but I
I
saw
didn't know.
what I must have.
It's his car.
Right.
Okay.
There's a falling star in the background.
Yeah.
You barely see it, but it's his car.
It's a star
coming in.
car. Yeah. I didn't actually but what I did notice generally in the trailer park at night, the stars were very lit up. They were very visible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The setting is just lovely. The whole
Yeah.
scenery, and I just love the whole look of this movie, and even like the cover art too. It just gives you such a nice feeling just looking at it. You know, you're in for a great wee adventure.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's going to be
exactly.
it's going to be fun and sort of warm and happy. Yeah.
It's be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody listening to this, check out the scene again. You'll see the car, but it's obviously it looks like a falling star, but that's who it is.
That's cool.
As we see the falling star, well, some of us did. The arcade game starts going crazy. Our car pulls up. We meet Centauri. He's played by the Music Man himself, Robert Preston.
Excellent.
He's easily come on in the car. Okay. So he gets into the car, and we meet a stranger in the back seat, but that stranger quickly leaves the scene and leaves the car, and the car flies away.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick intro, but it's cool thing is that car is before even Back to the Future. That car is specified. It was made by it was built to look like the DeLorean.
Yeah, it was based on DeLorean. I was reading up about that, and here's a fun fact. DeLoreans were actually manufactured here in Northern Ireland in Dunmurry,
right.
And I used to work in the factory, but not when it was DeLorean. After it was DeLorean, it was bought over by Bombardier Shorts, and I worked there for a few years. So that. So you go. I almost
notorious.
made DeLoreans.
Oh God, no! Oh God, I can see that. I can
Star
see Marty
Cars.
McFly going, "Who made this, Trevor?" Oh crap!
Not something to be
What's
too
that?
proud of, because they were notorious for breaking down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he picks him up, and the ship obviously looks like a cool spaced out DeLorean, but then it obviously flies in the air.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it becomes a spaceship. This is where the film turns into a different playground, and it's now complete CGI. This is when CGI will start making it big. Again, we'll dig a little deeper into the special effects, but it is. You got to realize back then all they had was Tron. I think did it first. And then you had a couple of other ones he peppered it in, but this is the first full-on CGI, and we'll get the opinions there in obviously in a few minutes here. But the film is complete CGI. They don't mirror like matte painting in the background, or they don't put humans. They don't mirror humans in the picture. It's just computer image.
And it's very groundbreaking.
Yes.
At the time, it certainly was.
Yeah, in the context of the period whenever it was done.
Exactly. But again, I have another little thing I came up with. Ooh, what's Kieran up to? So they land at the home base. It's called Rylos. there he's being introduced to everybody. He still doesn't know what's going on. He's like, why are you guys picking me? What's going on here? He's a fish out of water. And then you get to meet all these quirky little aliens. All the people have the women be bald, actually. But the women are bald, but they still got that hairline and I don't know what you call it.
Yeah,
Like the horseshoe kind of hair.
The head type thing.
Yeah, they remind me of my dad because he rocks the exact same hairstyle. But yeah, other than my dad, they reminded me kind of the Ferengi from Star Trek. You know, there's especially the bad guy. What's his name again? The Emperor of Rhinos.
Yeah, the Emperor guy.
Zor,
that's
Yor,
him. Yeah,
Yor, something like that.
Yeah.
I got the name somewhere.
He really reminded me of a Ferengi, like with the big bulging head.
So it's pretty much just a scene of him getting his battle gear, and he still doesn't know what's going on. And then, as he's kind of being introduced to this new world he's just being introduced to, obviously, we cut back to Fake Alex. We'll call him Fake Alex for the duration.
Beta?
What's happened is the guy in the back seat of the car, Beta,
yeah.
Was it?
Beta, yeah. He's a beta droid or something. He's known as.
He sleeps in the same room with his little brother, and he's sleeping. And what the little brother doesn't know, Lewis.
I like this kid.
It's not. Yeah, he's good at it. It's not his brother. It's not his brother. It's actually that robot thing, and it's morphing into Alex. So there's a really creepy scene.
Yes, I was just about to say that. It is
very nice
quite
special effect.
A scary scene, that you know, where he just like pulls back the sheet, and it's this sort of ghastly, sort of phantom face. You know,
it's got some really cool. I mean, the makeup effects are quite spot on.
Yeah.
Then as we meet the other recruits, they have this little one-line fix because they're all speaking jibber jabber.
Yes.
And they give him a little pin, and that pin is translator, so everyone's speaking.
It's like the Star Trek Universal Translator type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's a Trekkie, you big nerd.
I'm not a major Trekkie, but I know a bit.
Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah, that's the SK-59 model. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And he realizes that there's only a few starfighters that can fight the Cordan. He finds out that that game was put there to test someone's abilities, and he believes that if you beat that game, you could be a starfighter.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the whole premise of the film.
The Excalibur test, too. You find out about Excalibur, that Centauri had dropped that as a test to humans, too, which is really cool. I love the idea that King Arthur's out flying about in space, taking on aliens and stuff, you know. Cool.
Apparently, whenever the guy who wrote the script was originally writing it, he was in part inspired by the sort of King Arthur sort of Camelot legend.
Yep.
So it all sort of ties up well, you know, that sort of, you know, bit of sort of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It does play like that, or any kind of fish out of water.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars played on it as well.
Yeah.
He finds out that he doesn't want to be a starfighter. He says, "I'm not. What the hell? Fuck off! I'm not doing this. You pieces of shit." I haven't sworn yet, so I forgot to throw it in there. He does not swear. He calls them assholes and then leaves.
True.
But as he's in this room with all these pilots, the bad guy shows up with a big head. You know, like a hologram.
Yeah.
And this big head. His name's Zor. He is the son of the leader of the good guys.
Yeah.
Which is on Rylos. And he says, "Listen, dude, I'm going to kill y'all. And just let you know, you can't beat us. I have your spy." And it's actually a pretty creepy little scene.
Yeah,
the torture scene.
Guy.
Yeah, they melt this guy through the brain, through a laser on top of his head.
Yeah.
And his brain implodes. It's a pretty creepy little scene, actually,
Yeah.
as he's screaming for his life.
Probably the most violent scene in it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, like I said, I kind of like they went there a little bit.
Yeah.
To play on it. Give it that little
edge
nudge to almost being a PG-13.
They had to rein it in, actually, because they were afraid that it wouldn't have actually been released as a PG movie, because they actually had the whole clip that melted the guy's face the whole way down. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Well,
I'd
that
love
would have
that.
been really cool, and I'd love that as a kid. But
yeah, I'd love that.
A couple years earlier, they did it with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
they got away with it.
Exactly.
So, and then he wants to leave. He says, "This is not for me." Centauri's really upset and pissed, but that's what it is. He doesn't want to do it. Then we meet the Gordons. The Gordons are the bad guys. And they're working with Zor, the traitor. He's kind of like a big baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I like his evil laugh. Yeah.
What's that?
I like his evil laugh after he does, at the end of the hologram.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a very good evil laugh.
Over the top.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he's an entitled prick, though. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
It is a good character. He comes off like a spoiled little rich kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. If I had one complaint about this film, it would be that you don't see enough of him.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some faults in it, and it's actually decent. It's an hour and 43 minutes, I think, or something like that. But I would have been okay with an extra 10 minutes of giving us more meat on the bone for these bad guys.
Yeah, more backstory and and motivation.
Yeah.
But for how fast it is, it seems to keep you informed enough, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight, and it works.
It's tight, but it doesn't go above and beyond, which I would like to see.
Do you know what it also does, though? It kind of gives you the point of view of Alex. You're just thrust into this situation. You don't know who people are, where they came from, and you're seeing as much as he is, really. So it kind of leaves you in that position of him, like what's going to happen. You're feeling the story from his point of view, which is good because you're sitting confused with him, going, "What the hell is going on? Who is this guy? Where did they come from? Why am I fighting them?"
Because he, like I said, mentioned, he's got this dazed look.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So as Alex is being dropped off by Centauri, the base gets attacked, and they destroy Rylos. Well, most of it. As he drops off Alex back to his home planet, Earth, we call it, his home planet, like we don't live there. He gives him a beeper. He says, "Listen, you just use this if you need me." And he goes, "I'm not going to use it. You just use it if you need me." And Centauri drops him off and leaves. Alex heads back. Maggie smacks him. There's some confusion, and I won't go through the whole thing.
There's ears
some
being
nice. Yeah, there's some nice confusion between his twin Alex, the beta unit, and what happens when Alex wasn't there. So there's some misguidance, misconfusion. Maggie slaps him, says, "You try to do this to me," and blah blah blah. So it's actually pretty well done. It's not, it holds up.
Yeah.
But Alex quickly meets his beta unit. He finally explains to him why I'm here. I'm here to make sure that they know you're not gone. But all of a sudden, an assassin shows up, and it's like an alien. I'm not, whatever. The alien shows up. They start fighting. Obviously, they escape.
Yep.
But Centauri shows up.
Yes.
And helps fight the day. And the reason Centauri comes back because he just found out that Rylos, their starfighters, have been killed.
Yeah, and there was a hitman on the way.
Yeah, and he says, "This hitman that came after you guys, it came after you. They're gonna keep coming.
Yeah.
So you need to come on board with me now, or you can stay and fight these guys." And there's a funny shot scene. He goes, "What are you talking about, man? I can't be doing this. Don't worry, these guys are badasses." Or something, he says something like that. And he goes, "But that's what your beta unit is for." And the beta unit is like, "That's right." And then the beta unit is like, whoa, wait a minute, what?
I love the beta unit. He's fun.
It's well acted by Lance Guest, doing the two roles.
It is. They did a nice job with that. He did a nice job with that. The Centaurian hitmen are called hit beasts. They're from Xanderzan or something like that. But its arm is still alive, and as Centauri is talking to both of them, the arm shoots Centauri. Alex decides, "Okay, I'll go with you." They fly back. They see that the whole place is destroyed, Rylos. They hit the hangar deliberately so it would kill all the starfighters. And as Centauri lands the craft, he dies.
Yeah.
Per Centauri, no.
Yes. We see Greg. Greg's a great character.
Love Greg.
And
Brilliantly acted as well by a great actor.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. he says, "You're our only hope. Let's do this." So they have these, these sequences, fight simulator, kind of really, really quick training. And I'm going to tell you right now, the banter between Greg and him is hilarious because he says things that are just really funny as they're about to go out, and he goes, "Let's do this. We can win."
Yeah.
All right. Where's everybody else? Oh, they're all dead. Wait a minute. We're the only ones.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he's like, we'll figure out a strategy before we hit the frontier, and then hear the beep beep, and Alex is like, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's the frontier."
And he's talking about how he always wanted to be in such an epic battle, and sort of Alex is, whoa, hold on here a minute.
I love him.
The banter's really good, and you love Greg.
Do you know what his head looks like? Sorry to interrupt you, but it just occurred to me because I have the film running in the background as we're talking about it. His head looks like an Easter egg. Do you ever mind?
I was thinking that earlier. That's
Serious?
exactly what I was thinking. Honestly,
yeah.
It hit me at the end. In the sort of finale scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. He looks like an Easter egg.
I was wondering why I was so hungry when I seen him. I was like, Jesus, I could go with a bar of chocolate or something.
I could eat his head.
Yeah.
I had armadillo.
Armadillo.
It gets called an armadillo later on, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it looks like a shell.
Yeah, true. Or like a turtle.
Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it gets called that later on, or something to that effect.
Per Greg.
Yeah.
He just wants to save the universe.
And be delicious.
During this time, as Alex is training, get ready to go to the frontier, we find out that we keep cutting back to the home turf. And in the beta unit, we see that another alien has come down to come after what they think is Alex. So, what they do is they can shift. They can, what do you call it? Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter.
Yep.
And the hitman, the hit beast, does that with a cop. He goes to Silver Lake, where it's the famous spread.
Yeah.
Per cop.
But again, we keep going back and forth. Just Alex fighting. I will say this. Alex seems to be fighting too easily.
Well,
there's not much of a challenge for Alex here.
Well, he is the Last Starfighter, He got the
I know. That's.
But there's no real build-up to him becoming, like reaching that sort of goal. He's a bit sort of Mary Sue almost, because it can't be explained away because he was so good at the arcade game. But yeah, I know what you mean. I would prefer that. Again, the film was obviously very tightly edited. So, possibly, there were scenes where he was struggling with himself, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Kieran.
But I think that's that extra 10 minutes we could have used.
Yes. Yeah.
Give us something to where maybe they got shot and their things, and he comes up with something, a plan or something that give us that arc for him.
Yeah.
I know they do a hide and seek scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I won't get into it. You just watch the film. But I know. I think Alex is the crucial character who needed that little arc, that little something. It was missing that something.
Yeah.
But so we, like I said, we keep cutting back and forth. There's a great banter where he doesn't know what to say to Maggie, but so he's overhearing what the other guy saying to the other girl.
Scene, yes.
And he goes,
yes.
Oh, the other girls meant nothing to me.
And she hits him almighty slap him.
Yeah.
But he's trying to tell Maggie, listen, I'm not Alex. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. The cop shoots him. And he's all full of circuits and stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, see?
Told you so.
So this is the chase ensues. The twin Alex, the beta unit, is on the chase going after the baddies. And of course, it's kind of sad. I didn't like seeing, because even though he's not in it a lot, he was a good character, the beta unit.
Yeah.
But he saves Maggie and he says, tell Alex good luck, whatever. And he crashes.
Sacrifices himself
the truck.
For the greater
good. He sacrifices himself to kill the bad guy. And the beta unit is gone.
Yeah.
Now they have nothing but the last Starfighter. So Alex comes up with this idea about a hide and seek thing. Pretend we're not there, but we're there.
Yeah.
So we'll hit them from behind. So they do, and they start pew 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 pew.
They got very
fighting.
lucky, like, because those odds were slim.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like a lot of these films, you know what I mean, there is that sort of suspension of disbelief with those sorts of things, against incredible odds, you know.
And Zor, the traitor, gets taken away by the lead bad guys because he didn't catch the fact that there's another starfighter left.
Yeah.
So he fucked up their plan. So he's been taken away.
Yeah.
Alex still is attacking the ships. And Alex now has to go to what they call the attack squadron. This is a row of ships that are going to kill mode to other planets. So he needs to take them out. It's bittersweet because, again, I wanted him to do this, but he goes in, he just is do pew 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 pew, but they're still surrounded by a bunch. And then Greg finally says, "Oh, by the way, hit this button."
Oh yeah, the blossom something.
The blossom there, so the gun turrets open up all around the ship, and then the ship starts spinning, it looks like a basketball firing lasers, and it blows everything in sight.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
So they win. It's a cool scene. I'm not doing it justice by explaining it. Again, it's something you definitely want to watch.
Yeah. Like I'm still so impressed by the graphics, the computer graphics in this movie. Like, for the time, it is insane what they were able to do and how well they did it.
I agree completely,
impressed.
Nuala.
And they did it for what?
15 million. 15 million.
Yeah.
They actually had far better high-res graphics too. They actually had to bring it back because it was going to put them 17 months over deadline to render it back then, and it was on one of the most powerful computers you could get.
Yeah,
This is a movie that 4K it would look beautiful on.
Oh, if you could get it made with the original renders and just put that in its place, like the high detail, I think that would be incredible. That would be a director's cut that they should do.
Yeah, it should, and they know it's coming. I know it'll be coming soon.
Yeah. Although I'm a bit of a traditionalist where I prefer things almost to be left as they are. I wasn't too much of a fan of George Lucas tinkering with his original Star Wars trilogy.
No, that's different though. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying there, but this is different. This is a CGI film. So if you can clean up, I mean, it's already sharp as it is, what that can look like in a 4K. I'm not talking taking all the crap from The Exorcist or but this movie, like Tron, would look beautiful on 4K. But no editing. Don't take away from the film.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
The command ship shows up. They have no escape. And again, Alex kind of just get out of it a little easy. He starts hitting all the weak points of the ship, which kind of does reflect the game he's playing, because in the game, when he beats the game, we see him, little points of the ship he has to hit to blow it up. So he does the same thing, blowing up the real thing. There's a great line that the Cordan guy says. He goes, "What do we do now? What do we do now?" And he just looks at him and goes, "We die."
Yeah, that was the best line in the film, I thought.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool line.
Almost Shakespearean, that was, and very well delivered as well.
Yeah. We cut to Greg and Alex. They are getting, big Star Wars, the dun, 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 the welcome back. We need to rebuild us. We need you need to come back. And Centauri actually pops back.
Yes, he's alive, people. He's alive.
He goes, I thought you were dead. Oh no, my system was just shut down for a while.
Yeah, as you do. Yeah, and he says to him, I love the line where he says to him something like, you have to stop thinking in human terms,
Oh yeah.
It's a cop out, but I'll take it.
Oh yeah,
but
it's like a fun sort of nudge and wink at the audience. The sort of the audience is in with the joke sort of thing.
They all ask Alex, "Will you stay? Will you stay?" We cut back to the trailer park where Maggie's sitting there, actually quite content with what just happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the ship comes down. I like this scene a lot.
Yeah.
The ship comes down to Starlight. All the folks are speechless. Alex comes down in the spacecraft, and Maggie's nervous to leave, but she decides to go. He tells Lewis, "Keep an eye on things, buddy," and they fly away. Everyone's, yay, to fight another day. Yeah. And then his little brother Lewis begins to play the game.
Love it.
Hoping one day too he could be the last Starfighter.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if that does happen, that means Alex is dead.
Well,
yeah,
I was
actually.
just about to say that apparently there were sort of sequels in the works, over the last 10 or more years. And one of the potential sort of scripts or storylines that we're considering was the younger brother becoming a starfighter
I would love
to
that,
avenge his brother, Alex, who had been killed.
I think you need Alex in there.
Yeah,
I would.
some shape or form.
think that's. Yeah, maybe becoming a commander or something.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's the Last Starfighter. That's a Rapparuno. Let's talk. We'll talk really quickly. Becoming the points I wanted to make about it before you guys give your final reviews, because I want to see if it helps you.
Yeah.
Cool. Go for it.
Okay. So I mentioned in the beginning when he walks to the mailbox and he's looking for a letter. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. What's the other part I mentioned?
How about the shooting star?
No, that was
About
just a cool.
The scene whenever he leaves, whenever he runs away.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, yes, you're right, because it's near the shooting star scene.
I'm listening.
Those two scenes are reminiscing of It's a Wonderful Life. There's a scene where he runs away when he gets bad news from the house, where he has to give up everything for his younger brother. Again, he runs out of that house. He also has a letter in his hand.
You're right.
The scene where he gets the letter, where he gets no letter from the mailbox, it's spot on Jimmy Stewart impersonation.
Yeah.
From where he gets the bad news about the character is built around Jimmy Stewart's character.
I was
from
just
It's a Wonderful Life.
I was just about just when you were saying there, it just came to me when I was reading up about it. Apparently, Lance Guest was cast in this film due to his Jimmy Stewart qualities.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah,
It all ties in. That
when
all
I was
makes complete
researching
sense. So
when I was researching this, I read that myself.
yeah.
But until when I watched the film, if you watch that scene again, it is mirror image to the reaction that Jimmy Stewart always got when he was always let down, when George Bailey couldn't go to do it around the world.
Yeah.
Anytime he was upset,
Like the off
his
shucks type
mannerisms,
face. Yeah.
the slinky, shucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it is reminiscing. It's eerie
Yeah.
of how it looks like It's a Wonderful Life, because you got to realize it's the exact same character.
Yeah.
I wish they delved more into it, but it's about a guy who just wants to get out of the small town, if that's what you want to call it, and make something for himself. But there's always an obstacle.
Yeah.
And
And that's obviously that
very
seems
fair.
obviously it's obviously shot. It's obviously an intentional homage.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's definitely. And I wouldn't have caught it until I researched it, and they said they wanted somebody who was built like Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Never
and when
occurred
I
to me
watched-
until you said that. Yeah.
Watch it again, even just the scene.
No,
where
I missed it as well in that scene. I missed the reference. Until
even when he runs away, when he finds out that he didn't get the loan,
Yeah.
it's how he runs away. It's a mirror image to how George Bailey runs away from the house. When he finally kind of loses it.
Yeah.
But it's not major or anything, and I might be overthinking it, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, we talked about the CGI. Now, obviously, it was Tron, and some other films done this earlier, but this is the first film, like I said, to use all CGI.
Yeah.
And I thought about, how we talked about dated and how will it hold up? The effects do.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, and I don't know if this was deliberate, but in the beginning, when he's playing the game, we get to see the graphics of the video game.
Yeah.
Okay? So we know back then video game graphics aren't going to be, like they are now.
Yeah.
But the graphics that we see during the fight scenes look just like the video game. So they can get away with...
I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're
because
just
it's
mirroring
like
the arcade
that is
game.
real life to them. The way those.
Yes. So the way he sees the video game is the way he's going to see it in space.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a
that makes
simulator.
sense.
That-
It's like a battle simulator.
Yeah.
That's what they're testing him on. So they're making it as realistic to the setup, because whenever he actually gets into the gunship, sits down in the seat, Craig starts to explain what's what, and he's like, "Oh yes, this is this," and "Oh yeah, it's just like the game." So they put it together that way intentionally.
Yeah.
And I love the graphics in this. I'm a big gamer. I love playing video games, classic games too. 8-bit.
No.
Yeah. So video games have been a big part of my childhood, and even now as an adult, I play them every day to every other day. Love it. So this game or this movie holds a really wee warm spot in my heart. And I was just watching this from the whole side of being a kid and going like, what if that happened to me? Oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing?
I must
fucking love this.
I agree with all your points. I thought the special effects, looking back at it, were very, very groundbreaking for the time.
They're incredible.
And
They're brilliant.
Kids at the time must have been blown away by them. The only thing I would fear is perhaps kids these days, if they watched it, they might laugh at it because they're used to, more sort of much more polished special effects. But personally, I thought there were, considering the resources that they had, and obviously these types of effects were in their infancy, an absolutely stellar job.
I think this movie would hold up, and the reason I say that, actually, to piggyback on Nuala, it's a gamer's world out there now.
Yeah.
And that's where everything's gone and going, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, I think especially gamers who are watching this aren't going to look at would visual effects are so dated. They're looking at the story.
Yeah,
they're looking at this kid who's a gamer, loves his one game he always plays religiously. And we all have that little kid inside of us. What if we could become that character?
I know.
And that's what he gets to do. So I think the people that this remake or this would do for people like Nuala herself would see a bigger picture.
And of course,
than it just being,
and of course, also to back up that point by yourself, Kieran, there's also a great nostalgia for the 80s these days as well. With Stranger Things and It, and those types of films and series and stuff. So I think it would. I think modern audiences would enjoy it. Yeah.
There you go. That's a wrap-a-runo, but let's get our final thoughts here. Trevor, you go first, bud.
Thoroughly entertaining, I must admit. There is a certain sort of Spielberg and Disney-esque sort of qualities to it. I would like to see more of the bad guy, the sort of main villain, as, sort of pantomime and cheesy as he was, but of course it was all intentional. But overall, thoroughly entertaining and a great trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Cool.
Same. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed
Copy
it.
and paste.
Enjoyed it thoroughly. So glad I got to revisit it. I was sitting watching it as an adult in my 30s, like I was a kid again, going, come on. In the battles, I was right in there with Alex and Craig, and it's wholesome, it's fun, and it's definitely worth a watch. And if you're into video games at all, watch it, and I hope to God you get as much enjoyment out of it as what we have. Well, what I have anyway.
Yeah, it's I revisited it. God, it's been so long. I'm so old. And I watched it through for this podcast, goggles, as I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast. And I'll tell you what, it's a better film even now.
I know.
I mentioned the reason it holds up story wise. The characters are so lovable. I do think it helps when you're being bombarded with Stranger Things and all these 80s, Ready Player One, all these other kind of Ender's Game, all these other films that are kind of like this kind of concept. How it withstands the test of time. I love the characters. And again, reading up on it, catching little things like I really do. It's a Wonderful Life homages in there, and which I would never even thought of until this podcast. I love the visual effects. They're crisp. They're clean. It's beautiful in its own right. I love the trailer park. I wish we had more time to spend with them.
Yeah,
because but they really don't have much to add to the story, really. I guess, but you just wanted to stay
they're
there.
great characters.
Yeah. And what I would also add to that, there in today's very cynical world, it is a breath of fresh air, something like that, from a more what seemed like in a more innocent time. But it's a totally non-cynical film, and that to me is refreshing.
Oh, it's a great call. That's a great shout out. Exactly. I don't know how people wouldn't like this film. It's got problems. I think we could have got 10 more minutes with the villains, or even with the good guys in Rylos. Something a little more training. I would like to see him and Greg have a little more banter. I mean, they had great banter as is. I would love to have seen more of that. But it is what it is, and it doesn't dilute the film at all. Yeah. It's still one of my favorites. I will definitely get it. I didn't rent this one on Amazon Prime. I will definitely be buying this one for my collection.
Cool.
Because you definitely want to embrace the older CGI. Because if it wasn't for this film and Tron, you probably wouldn't have the Avengers.
Yeah.
And Titanic and all these films.
Jurassic Park.
Really went, all these films that went CGI heavy. That are this is one of the films that kind of paved the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. We got another 3 out of 3 there. It is definitely a must, guys. I highly recommend it. Next week, I don't know if it's going to be a 3 out of 3.
We'll see.
Well, I'll say it now. We'll talk about the piece of shit Ghost.
Aww.
We'll see. We'll see.
I haven't seen Ghost in years as well.
Yeah, and that's a blessing for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unchained Melody with the the pot or whatever it was that we're making.
Yeah.
the
pot.
The clay
clay,
pot
yeah.
or whatever it was.
The pot, like they're getting high during Unchained Melody.
Well, that would have made it better, but
They're getting high on each other.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's what's next up next week, guys. Listen, we're going to end this one. Trevor Nula, thanks for joining me again.
Pleasure as always, man. And it was great to revisit this movie.
But that's a wrap, Bruno. And we are done and dusted. We'll be back next week with the wonderful piece of shit, Ghost.
Oh, let's do it. I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll have a good laugh on that one. All right. See you later.
Peace.